Champion music, you already know. You know how we coming. Kitchen talk.
Yes.
Champion music, man.
Sounding very mayoral.
Yes. This is a very special, very special episode. Big shout out to the whole gang. You already know who you is. Free Ricky.
Yes.
Wow.
Big
This
things.
is, man, speaking of champion music, we have a very special guest today, man. Inspiration, motivation, being young black coming from New York City or anywhere in the ghettos. Man,
Against all odds.
it's only been one other black mayor in New York City. Big R.I.P. to David Dinkins. I survived the David Dinkins era. I was a young kid with cut-off jeans and 10-cent ices. All right? Man, big round of applause for
Hell yeah.
the new mayor of New York City,
Does it feel real?
Mr. Eric Adams, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Good to see you.
Thank
Good
you,
to see
man.
you. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
It's layers. We're finishing up. We did well on the first layer, and part of the conversation today is for people to be engaged in how this layer is going to happen and how we actually got here. But I love the theme or the name of your show, Kitchen Talk.
Right.
Because it was in the kitchen that many of us had conversations with
That's
our
right.
families.
That's
We
where it
sat
started.
down and talked in a real way, and we need to re-engage in that conversation.
Indeed.
The other day, brother, I was sitting down talking with my son, and we were just having a moment of just talking, and realized that damn, we don't even have a time to sit down and talk anymore.
This is your son you telling that.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have. I've been so busy,
Right.
and he's like doing his music thing, and
Right.
he's busy. That how often do we just sit down and just say, like, what are you doing now? What are your what's your project? What are, what's going on? What are your fears and what are your concerns? And kitchen talk is a way of just getting in that kitchen, making something to eat.
Yeah.
And while you're cooking, you also
Getting
communicate.
into it.
Yeah.
A lot of things start in the kitchen. We build in the kitchen. It's kind of like the building point. We sit down, we come, we hang out, we kick it. And in the kitchen, you have talks that you're not having outside because it's so intimate. And this is the vibe that we set right here. So
it's so funny you say that when you say a lot of things start in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because that's where he was actually conceived. In the
Hello.
wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So there's that.
In the kitchen. Hey, I start some things in the kitchen too sometimes. You know what I mean? Of course, though. I know technically, all right, I mean, and I'm just trying to understand the system. Right. We can't say that you are the mayor.
Right.
I mean, I could probably say it because I've said
I like to speak it into existence.
Exactly.
Like, period.
So how does it work? Because you was up like 31%. Like you beat
Right.
everybody.
No, good question. So what happened, they did a new system called ranked choice voting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Before ranked choice voting, it was a runoffs. You have to get 51%. If you don't get 51%, you should do a runoff. Now, what's deep, what many people don't know, that was created because before that, it was whomever received the most votes, you were elected. Then back then, Herman Badillo and others were successful, and they came up with this new plan. They always got new plans when it comes down to us. So we received the most votes in the first layer. If we would have hit 50%, 51%, we would not have to have the next layer. So you have the paper ballots that have to be counted, which normally the paper follows the votes. And then you have the ranked choice voting that's going on, where they look at who picked number 2s, number 3s, until someone gets to 51%. We're at a good place. We feel very comfortable where we are.
Right.
But we can't officially say you won yet until it goes through the entire process.
Right. So it's basically like a counting process there.
Yes.
And they're going to tally that up by what, July?
July
Why
12th.
does it take so long?
July 12th.
You know what I'm saying? With all of these
In
computers.
2021, right? Like, why does it take so long?
Think about it.
Put it in the money machine. Let it go.
You know?
Come on. What we talking about? Wow.
But the real move, Maino, we won already in the energy of this, and I'm just really hoping that, you know, young brothers and sisters in general, but specifically black men,
Right.
look at this and see
Right.
and take away the inspiration of, you know, the possibilities. You know, I said this over and over again. America is built on breaking black men. That's the foundation of America.
That's a fact.
They symbolically, we talked about it in that series Roots.
Right.
But the goal was to get Kunta Kinte to say Toby.
That's right.
And we have never moved away from that spirit. I don't care where you go in America, brother.
Right.
You could go to Chicago, South Side, Compton, Atlanta, Detroit, Brownsville. You see broken black boys turning into broken black adolescents, turning into broken black men in a broken system. Because that breaks down the entire family. You know, black and brown men, you must break down the entire family, and there's no real desire ever to turn that around.
It's systematic, and my whole thing is like, we in a time when crime is rising right now, right? And it's a lot of talk about how to deal with that, right? These environments that we talking about, that we come from, and you speaking on, I feel like systematically produces criminals.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
You understand? So, you know, it's like, by the time you're 8 years old, your father may be in jail, your mother trying to hold it down, right? You going to school that is underfunded, inadequate. Teachers is overworked, underpaid. You come from an impoverished neighborhood.
You're in survival mode.
That has been impoverished for decades.
Right.
So it's a system.
Without a doubt.
Right?
Without a doubt.
That by the time you're 8 years old, they saying that you got ADD. They diagnosing you all types of things. You're carrying a gun because you feel like you need to. Right. And now you're getting caught up in the system. How do we deal with that? Do we deal with that early, or do we deal when it's late and just say let's lock all these niggas up?
Great question. And Archbishop Desmond Tutu from South Africa, one of my heroes, he has a saying: we spend a lifetime pulling people out of the river. No one goes upstream and prevent them from falling in the first place. So
that's the
right,
because that's what the real issue is.
Right, and now we have to ask ourselves, okay, wait a minute. So why aren't we going upstream and preventing them from falling in? Because people are making paper out of pulling people out. When you start talking about, well, listen, I'm going to prevent Bakem from falling in the river. People downstream that are making so much paper, they say, wait a minute, Negro, what you doing? We have profitized pulling people out of the river. Then go downstream and say, well, let's see who we're pulling out. Black and brown.
That's right.
Always
us.
So if we were pulling out other ethnic groups, you would see incentives to say, let's stop destroying these people and allowing them to fall in the river. But we're pulling out folks that we're saying we're making paper. These are folks we don't like anyway. So why are we going to stop it? So now Eric comes along and say, listen, I'm going upstream. I'm stopping folks from falling in the river. I wasn't dangerous to the candidates that were running for mayor. That's not who I was running against. I'm dangerous to the institution that feeds off of pulling people off the river.
Wow.
So you got a lot of pushback for that, I'm sure.
What?
I'm sure people are asking you the harder questions, and people are positioning you in certain ways. You know, when they talk about you, there's a certain perspective. I mean, black men deal with that all the time, but I'm sure with you being the next mayor, and
see, that's why we have to put this in the whole, concept. When I started to run, I knew what I was dealing with. New York City is the most important city in the most important country on the globe. So when you understand that, the power that comes out of New York City is the power that's cascades throughout the country and the entire globe. So the Nation newspaper wrote an article.
Right.
And they said, if Eric Adams becomes the mayor of the city of New York, it's going to change politics in America. Now, some people say, you know what, 2 thumbs up to that. But what about people that don't want politics to change in America? They put a bullseye on me beyond belief. That's why you saw all of these folks coming out to go with these other candidates, because the mission became, we have to stop Eric Adams.
It doesn't matter what they even talking about. Yeah.
It's got to stop Eric Adams. That was the mission. The mission became stopping Eric Adams. And so, but what they failed to understand is that I was no longer operating on my skill set. I was walking in the spirit.
Bless. That's the type of conversations I love to have too.
You know what I'm saying? So they didn't get that. If you never walked in the spirit, if you never had to say that, you know what, technically I can't survive this, but somehow I did survive it. I had a life of walking in the spirit. So I know when I make the transformation from my physical ability to my spiritual abilities. And so a couple of months ago, when I realized that, listen, the forces against me are so strong, I all of a sudden saw things that I said, you know what? I'm walking in the spirit now. There's nothing these cats can do.
Yeah.
No. Well, you already proved that. You know, you already proved that by getting this far.
Right.
You know what I mean? And despite what was put in front of you. So my conversation now is what next, you know, what's next? So it's a lot of talk about crime in the city, right? Now it's crime all over the country. Right. So it's crime all over the country. I think people, I was reading some stuff where it was talking about, the doctors were saying people, after being locked in so long with COVID, people got anxiety. I was reading today the FAA saying that it's more fights on planes than ever. You understand? So recently,
shooting is up, everything's up.
So recently, you said something about bringing back stop and frisk. What's your stance on that?
That's so important. That whole conversation was the talking points of my opponent. You know, so let's go back, because a lot of people don't know, you know, how I got here.
Indeed.
I was 13 years old when Clifford Glover was shot in South Jamaica, Queens on Guy Boulevard. And I became part of the movement to fight against police abuse. He was shot by an officer named Shay that was found not guilty. Then when I got 17 years old, Randolph Evans was shot by a housing cop. I was still part of the movement. I was part of National Black United Front. And I was part of the protest to fight against the cop getting off. Then at 18, Arthur Miller was killed by a chokehold on Nostrand Avenue. He was a prominent businessman. I was with Reverend Herbert Daughtry, and the cops got off on that as well. Reverend Herbert Daughtry came to me. I was arrested at 15, beat down by cops in the basement of the 103rd precinct, the same precinct that Sean Bell was killed in. Those cops took us downstairs, and they could have beat us anywhere on our body, but they didn't. They kicked us over and over again in our grind. I woke up the next day in Spofford. The first thing I saw in the toilet was blood. My urine was not there. Blood was there. And so Reverend Herbert Daughtry came to me and 12 other young brothers and said, listen, you guys got to go in and fight the police department from within. And I was like, man, you on crack? You know, these cats traumatized me. But he was smart enough to say, in order for you to get that trauma out of you, you have to go back in and you were demasculated. So I went into the department, started an organization called 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. I was in the police academy when Eleanor Bumpers was shot by Sullivan. I used to leave the police academy and go up to the Bronx to march with the family against what happened to them. My fight, this is my life work, fighting against stop and frisk. So Maya Wiley and other cats that did not have a history on fighting, they said, we're going to take this soundbite and make it seem like everyone wants to bring back stop and frisk. When the record shows, I testified in federal court, and the judge stated I'm ruling against the police department based on Eric's testimony. I passed laws against stop and frisk.
That's
right.
So it's completely inaccurate then that you...
Completely. So now here's what I am saying. So what happens, what it's called is, we say stop and frisk, but it's really called stop, question, and frisk. So this is what we were doing in the city. Hey, officers, you're going to go out and come in with a certain number of stop and frisk, stop, question, and frisk. They were just going out into black and brown communities, stopping and searching everyone. They were just breaking laws. And that's what I testified and got changed. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to say you can't stop and question people you think you're committing a crime when a civilian call. So if you pull up to your house, you know, your children about to come home, you pull up to your house, you see somebody standing outside, they put a gun in their waistband, you calling the cops. Right. And when that cops come, you want them to question, do you have a right to carry that gun? Those who are running for office, they're saying, no, cops can't question anyone. That doesn't make any sense. you jeopardizing the safety of people. Right. But when they question them, they should have their body cameras on. You should get the video of what they're doing. Then you should analyze those cops that are having all of these stops and questions without any reason for doing so, and you need to get them off the department because they're breaking the law by doing it.
Indeed. Because I feel like the whole interaction between stop and frisk is based around training. Right. Right? Because you have to know how to differentiate different things, right? So now the young black male has a certain type of look. It's urban. He got braids. You know, he got a certain type of clothes. Based on who's looking, right, and the way that they train, that may represent a criminal
to
someone else,
definitely,
right?
Definitely.
So that's why the stop and frisk is so dangerous, because it's like when that is abused and cops jump out and just throw you on because of the way you look, that is profiling, and it's a dangerous place for us to be. Right. You know what I mean? And we definitely don't need, because we get hurt.
Without a doubt.
Based on their perspective, like, we're getting hurt.
But what you don't want to do, and this is why this conversation is so important. Right. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to say that, because the goal is for us to be safe. Right. Safe from aggressive police actions and safe from crime. Right. Because when I spoke to Justin Mom, the 10-year-old who was shot and killed in Rockaway, our baby's gone 2 days before his birthday. And so the goal is to say, you are not going to police my community and be heavy-handed and abusive. That's why the technology is important. Right. Everyone you stop, we want to see that video. We want to see that you do it correctly. Indeed. But if you take away to say, if you call the police because someone is doing something that's dangerous to your family, if you're saying that, hey, police officer, you're not allowed to question that person who you believe as a civilian is about something dangerous about to jump off, that's a dangerous place for our community.
Right. So you're saying based on if there's a call, right? So none of this can be random. Right. Like the cop can't just be driving, canvassing areas and going, oh, there's 3-4 dudes standing on the corner, let me just jump out and search.
There you go, brother. There you go. And that's what I'm saying is, anytime you do it, even if the call came in, your video camera is on. Right. You know, when I approach Maino, I'm approaching you, my camera's on, I'm engaged in the conversation, because the mere fact that let's say a civilian call, the mere fact that a civilian call and I come to respond, I don't have the authority to frisk you. Right. I have this authority to stop and question you. Because you may say, listen, I'm a security guard. That's why I'm carrying. I see your ID, I'm bouncing. Right. What they were doing, they didn't care. They were searching everyone. And that's what I was fighting. That's what I fought against. Got you. Understood. So how do we safeguard against that? Because I feel like, and not just in New York City, just the way that police are trained, I feel like part of the training is they're trained to fear black men. Without a doubt. Listen, as a cop, sergeant, lieutenant, and captain, I used to get pulled over all the time. And, you know, I wouldn't even say anything to see how the cop was going to respond. Really? Right. And I'll say, you know what, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I know real of what they were doing. And that's why we were so active in fighting against it. You know, when people do an analysis, like oftentimes I'll have cats stop me and say, oh, you want to bring back stop and frisk? And I'm like, Negro, go look at my record. Right. You know? Like, that don't even make no sense. They don't even know, right. You don't spend your life working for something. Then all of a sudden, you're going to flip, you know. Right. But so the move is that, number one, in a real way, which I think is so important, what Reverend Daughtry did to me, we need some young soldiers going into policing. You know? I understand that. You know, I understand some young soldiers going into policing, and then we need to use the technology to determine who's not suitable to be in law enforcement. How do we do that? Because being a cop, right? And I'm mature enough to understand, you know, we can't have a civilization without law and order. Understood, right? How do we get to a place where the people that are supposed to protect us, the people that's supposed to serve us, are not abusing their powers? Is it
part of the training because the police like the military in this
Without
country.
a doubt, paramilitary.
You understand?
Right.
And then they come in our neighborhoods and they have this mentality. I often think about the kid in East New York who they put a rookie on the job and he was walking and he was
his
nervous.
name escaped me, right? In night
Kai
shift,
Gurley,
night shift.
right?
Yeah, Kai Gurley,
Yeah,
right.
and he shot him.
Right.
And it was a mistake, and it was just like, wow, his life was taken because he wasn't ready. He wasn't trained,
Right.
and he wasn't ready for that. How do we start having real community policing, like putting people from our communities
Right.
in
our
communities
communities?
to protect our
question,
community.
you know? Great
Right.
question. Great question. Couple of things. Because there's some layers to that. There's some layers to that.
Yeah.
And we have to engage in a real conversation around this. You know, there's a couple of layers. Number one, in all honesty, we should not even need popo in our community. In all honesty, you know, we should be saying to ourselves as black men, you know, that listen, you don't have to come on our block.
We got this.
You don't have to. You don't have to patrol here. We don't need it. Like my brother Anderson out in Brownsville.
Yeah.
He's a deputy
I know you're
inspector
talking
there.
about, yeah.
Anderson created a space. He says, "You know what? We're not even doing patrol here anymore.
Right.
We're gonna let the people hold it down." So as black men, when we raise our concern about racist police behavior, we need to do a self-examination of ourselves. Why do we need someone coming from our community to keep our community safe? You know?
Am I protecting my community?
You
It's
know
the
what I'm
real
saying?
question.
Right. You
Right.
know, am I setting the rules up of saying, listen, you're not slinging drugs on this corner. You know, you're not coming here. You're not going to be shooting up my schools. We need to be setting the standards like the Panthers set the standards. And that's the real void. The real void is, you know, where are the black men saying in our communities that, listen, there's a certain standard of behavior that we have. Like that, what happened in the Bronx. I sat down with the mother and father of the two children in the Bronx. This cat was taking out someone shooting over the kids.
Right.
That little boy won't leave his dad's life.
Right. Understood. What you're saying idealistically is great.
Sound good, right?
It's a great ideal, right? If we could police our own neighborhoods, if we was responsible enough to take the lead, that would be great. But as long as we have impoverished neighborhoods, ghettos and inner cities, there's always going to be crime, and there's always going to be a disconnect even between us.
We're fighting against the cycle that we were just talking about.
So it's always going to be a disconnect between even younger brothers with ourselves, because we kind of perpetuate and taught to hate ourselves. So if I don't see value in myself, how can I see value in you?
Without a doubt.
So it's hard for us to police our own neighborhoods and be what the Panthers were, because we would have to have that pride. We gotta learn our history. We gotta know where we come from, and we gotta start being taught who we are is important. Because we never have that.
But you said something powerful. You said something really powerful. We have to start.
Yeah.
And sometimes we look at the enormity of the problem and say that it can't be done. And I say no to that. That's what we started 100 blacks in law enforcement who care. I went to 10 soldiers that I know who thought like me and felt the same passion that I did. And I said, listen, I need for you to go get 10 more soldiers. Get 10 more brothers and sisters that we all think together. And we were a tight group of 110 of us, actually. But we were a tight group. And so what we need to do is what you're saying. We think we need the entire army. No, we don't. You know, there's a Judges chapter 7, verses 2 through 7 talks about the fight with the Nehemites, and the king had 22,000 soldiers, and God said, listen, those are too many. And he broke them down to 10,000 soldiers, and he says, listen, you still have too many. He took them down to the river and said, give me the ones that drink at the river but laps up the water like a dog and looks around. Those are your soldiers. Went down to 300. 300, yeah. We're looking for too many soldiers. We don't need an army. We need a committed few. And so if we go in a block and sit down and show real authentic love with these brothers, real love, and say, listen, man, I know you're going through some pain. I know you did some time. Right. I know you did some stuff with some drugs. I know all of this, but I'm not judging you. See, I can't judge anyone.
That's right.
Because I was running numbers. you know, as a 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about it.
My man was running numbers. Come on,
You know what
man.
I'm saying? You know,
Come on.
You know, when mom needed something to eat, I bought that nickel and made 8 joints. So I could take
Damn
that.
right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn,
Yeah.
8 joints out of a nickel?
Back then, this is
Damn.
Back then, yeah.
So I can't, you know, I can't look at anyone and say what they should have done or what they could have done. You know, I'm gonna meet people on their levels because
Indeed. Come to the people as the people.
that's all I am, brother. That's all. And I tell people all the time that I know sometimes I'm meeting people in the streets where, you know, people say, you know what, man, I'm just going to hate on you, Eric, because I look in the mirror and I see myself and you look like me and I hate myself, so I'm going to hate me. I got it. And I don't even get upset, you know, because people, listen, let me tell you something, people shit all over me during this campaign. People jacked me on this campaign that I fed. Folks who slept on my couches, other folks gave them 30 pieces of silver and they turned on me.
Wow.
So, a lot of them wrote off. I just said, you know what, it is what it is. But some of them, brother, they hurt me.
Wow.
They really hurt me.
Let me ask you that though, right? You being who you are, you relating to the black man and the black male experience the way you do, right? How does that contrast with your relationship with the PBA, like with the police department, right? Guys like Pat Lynch, because they endorsed you before. They
Right.
didn't endorse you this time.
Right.
Why not?
Because I said, I don't want your endorsement. Because when I told Pat, listen, you can't be endorsing Trump. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I said, listen, I don't want your endorsement. You know,
That's a bad look.
Right. Listen,
Yikes.
because philosophically, you know, you can't be. I know what I believe in. And what's interesting about me, I don't have a black conversation. I don't have a white conversation. I don't have a billionaire conversation. I don't have a hood conversation. I got one conversation. You could take what I said, and if I'm in Brevoort, and you could take what I said if I'm on Broadway sitting in a multi-billion-dollar boardroom. It's the same thing. Because what white folks are starting to realize that their tax dollars are being wasted with that downstream approach. They realize they're being hustled. We're all being hustled. You know, they say, wait a minute, I'm paying all this damn money, and I'm still having 65% of black and brown children never reaching proficiency in the Department of Education. And if you don't educate, you're going to incarcerate, brother.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're starting to say to themselves, wait a minute, y'all hustling us too. You know, so I'm able to show the billionaires of this city that you are being played. You're being played because you're paying high taxes to continue institutional poverty.
Hustling backwards.
Right. And that's what folks are starting to wake up to. They're starting to wake up to, and that's why I resonated throughout the city. Because they say, wait a minute, this cat, there's something to what this cat is saying. You know?
Right. No, it's definitely it resonates, and that's why I'm saying, like, where's your relationship with the PBA now? Like, what is there tension with you? Because it was a time when you know, the police department, they wasn't feeling Bloomberg.
Right.
You know, they wasn't feeling de Blasio.
Right.
So where they at with you? Because you have a background as being from law enforcement and also fighting against wrong law enforcement.
Right. And but you know what's very interesting? People respect when you're real about what you're doing. You know, I'm straight up. Look, cops that should not wear that uniform, I'm getting rid of them fast. Pantaleo was around for 4 years.
Right, that's the guy with Eric Garner.
Eric Garner.
Yes.
He was around for 4 years.
After it happened.
Right. Mayoral Nominee was in charge of that. She was in charge of that. And he was there for 4 years. Eric Adams is mayor. You bouncing after 30, 60 days. You're going to do your trial and you gone.
Right.
You know, Mayoral Nominee was in charge of the MWBE program. We have a $22.5 billion MWBE program. We only got 2 to 3% of that dollars that came from this. She was in charge of that. She was in charge of CCRB. See, she wants to try to critique my record because she doesn't have a record.
And the CCRB, that's the civilian complaint board, right? For the people in TV land that don't know, because he's talking that talk, and we need you to understand that lingo. So she tried.
They're in charge of reviewing the bad behavior of police officers. She was in charge of that, and she had one of the worst records going.
Really not doing nothing.
Nothing.
and then try to turn around and
flip the script. Because see, they know. Let me tell you something. People play black folks, man. They could look. You could do all that you're doing, man. All that you're doing, talking with people real, doing some real things. People will come up with a little sound bite.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, the same folks that you have been fighting for will come back later and say, "Oh, man, you're a sellout." It's like, Negro, what you talking about?
Like, I did all this for y'all. Like, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why the Bible is a heavy book.
Right.
You know, because all that Jesus did, he walked on water, he cured people, he did everything. But as soon as it was time to turn them in, they was like, "Oh,"
because they love to hate, and they love to hate. And then the thing is, you a person, you can do just like what you said recently, like, about hitting 35 in the night playing basketball, and then if somebody wanted to talk about the 10 shots you missed, right?
Yep.
But you had a great game.
Love me, then you hate
Like,
me, then you love me again.
Right, long as your overall outweighs, you know, some of the small parts, because none of us is perfect,
right?
You know,
right.
And talking about this, it brings me to another question.
Yes.
You know, last year, you know, we you know, there was a lot happening, right? You know, George Floyd, a lot of protests, and, you know, Black Lives Matter. And then there was this conversation that began to build up about defunding the police. Where you at on that?
Okay, and I want to do that, but let me tell you something. George Floyd, brother Terrence, endorsed me.
Yes.
Abner Louima, who was sodomized by Volpe, endorsed me. Doris Munn, whose brother was shot, endorsed me. All of the victims endorsed me. No victim endorsed any of those cats. None of them was endorsed by any victim.
You talking about other mayoral?
All the mayoral candidates. None of them were endorsed by any of the candidates.
I was endorsed by the people.
You understand what I'm saying?
But because you was on the ground with the people, though.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing.
Exactly. So let's go to the defunding part. Right away. Bumper stickers is not public safety. You can't come up with slogans and bumper stickers, you know, like so many people who don't need police on their block. They want to determine, you know, the slogans for our community. And so what we should be doing, we should look at all the agencies and saying, how are you spending my money? The police department's budget, we could do a better job in spending the money in the police department. We need to change the ecosystem of public safety. Right now, the ecosystem of public safety in the country is just police. No, we need to take some of that budget and say, let's put it in crisis management team. Let's put it in youth programs. Let's put it into mental health. Let's put it into even foster care. Foster care children age out at 21. If we give $50 million of the police budget and let them age out at 26, instead of 20% graduating from high school, 90% will graduate from high school. Right now, we're setting up foster care children for failure. Yep. And so we can use the public safety money better than what we're doing if we redefine the ecosystem. But if people are running around saying, cut it by $3 billion, what are you doing with it? And what's the impact
It's
on...
about, it's about because you do believe in taking some of that money and putting it in the right places.
And doing the right thing to prevent crime.
That's
Let's
right.
say, for example, you know how you want to really prevent crime? Do dyslexia screening in every school. 30% of the brothers and sisters on Rikers Island are dyslexic. So if I did screening for dyslexia in every school, identifying dyslexia, giving the families the resources they need, baby is not going to feel that he can't learn, start slinging drugs, pick up a gun, do a stick-up, and end up on Rikers Island. I went through my public school system. My entire public school system, I was bullied. They called me the dumb student, the D student. Everyone used to leave the classroom before me. They would all laugh at me because I was failing all my classes. I eked out a D to get out of high school, went to summer school. I was in college, and my remedial course, because I couldn't take the regular courses because my grades were too low. I was in the library when I overheard a video, a documentary someone was listening to on learning disability. I took out the documentary and looked at it, and I said, I got a learning disability. I finally got the resources and overcame the learning disability. I went from being a D student to being on the dean's list all the time in college. But I was lucky. How many of those brothers and sisters on Rikers Island with learning disabilities? 55% have learning disabilities. 80% of the brothers and sisters at Rikers don't have a high school diploma or equivalency diploma. They were not lucky like me. They never heard the documentary. They were called lazy and dumb and stupid like I was. We set people up for failure. If you don't educate,
that's right.
You will incarcerate.
So that's exactly what I'm saying. So how do we? What's the plan to combat these things? Right? How do we save our kids early? How do we fix the broken school system?
Love it, man. Good question.
How do we do it? Like, you know?
Good question. And it's number one, you have to get the right chancellor. And you have to be real about this, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why this moment is so important for us. You know, I should be mayor for one reason only. I'm so goddamn better than everybody that's running, brother.
Come on, give him something. Give him something. You give him something.
Brother, when you look at the depth of my life, I live the life that people are living.
Right.
And when I start talking about doing what you're saying,
right.
When I talk upstream,
right.
The level of upstream I'm talking about, people are not even ready for this conversation. Take this for example. At 20 weeks of gestation, when that mother's carrying that baby girl she's carrying has all the eggs she's going to have for the rest of her life. If that mother is traumatized, she's going to traumatize that baby girl also while she's carrying her. Now science is saying she's also going to traumatize the eggs that she's carrying.
Right.
Her. So you have generational trauma.
Right. Yeah.
And so Eric Adams as mayor, every mother that needs it will have a doula. That doula is going to teach that mother on not only while she's carrying that baby, how to give it the right food, the right nutrition, and right support, how to change, because the trauma, science is saying that trauma that baby and those eggs have, you can change the trauma by doing what's called the genetic markers, by nurturing, loving, and caring. Many of these mothers don't know how to nurture and love these babies, so they're coming out with these.
Because it wasn't taught.
There you go. But so doula can show you the proper way of what it's called change the genetic markers so that we don't continue the perpetuation of trauma.
Right.
A lot of our babies are growing up from generational trauma.
From goddamn slavery.
Right.
Yeah.
All right? Like, this is chains and images of psychological slavery.
Right.
It's been embedded in our great grandmothers and great
It's in our DNA, brother.
It's in our DNA, fear, distrust, all these things that they try to, put on us. It's already embedded.
It is.
But is it the things that we talking about, the things that we know that idealistically that we want to change, is it as simple as applying the right amount of money to these places?
Combination. Resources, we spend about $30 billion on education, but we spend it on the wrong thing.
No, how are we spending $30 billion on you see the school systems in
New York
City? They overcrowded, all right? And teachers definitely ain't getting no money because what they giving teachers.
Right, and what's up with the school system after Corona? Because that's looking crazy too.
No, it is. But the real move is what you're asking the question of how we fix it. Leadership is important. We have to identify the urgency. There is no real identification of the urgency because I'm telling you, 65% of black and brown children don't meet proficiency every year. You can't tell me if any other ethnic group in this city, 65% of their children were not reaching proficiency. You'll see riots in the street. We have accepted the fact that black and brown children will fail. We have accepted that. So we have to change the acceptance. We have to all of a sudden say, this is no longer acceptable. You have to have the right commissioner with the right teachers, with the right mission. So just as we talk about policing, we need more black and brown teachers. Do you know we have a small pool?
That's right.
See, everyone,
and counselors
right. Mental health professionals. We need to have in schools. We need to have washers and dryers.
Right.
Because a lot of babies
also.
Right. The curriculum has to change. Yeah. It needs to be culturally relevant.
Right.
People need to see themselves in the books. So when I'm talking about here, what I'm going to do in New York, it's going to cascade throughout this entire country. People think this is just about Eric wants to be the mayor of New York. No, I'm going to change how we run this country.
Because this is what's going on in our communities nationwide.
But you know what I'm saying,
same
brother?
thing, whether it's in Bed-Stuy or Bankhead in Atlanta. Like, it's the same thing.
Same thing, brother.
Do we build more schools?
No, see, volume is never the question. Quality is the question.
Right.
You know, we're big on, you know, volume. You know,
Right.
it's the question is quality, and we have some great quality schools like Bedford Academy. These brothers and sisters are amazing.
Bedford Academy.
But why is there only one Bedford Academy?
My son is graduating from Bedford Academy
Love
tomorrow.
it, love 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 it.
Congratulations.
My
Love it.
18-year-old.
Don't
Love
cry,
it.
don't cry.
So you know how good the school
It's
is.
a beautiful school.
So, but why we only have
Shout
one?
out to Principal Muhammad. And let me just tell you about the school. It was so different, right? Culturally, black men running the school talking about us.
That's right.
And teaching young black men how to be, you know, responsible black men.
That's right.
You
That's
understand? And it was for me, every time I go into school, I really feel good because it's like, here's a school that's really for us.
Right.
You understand that really cares. And I would talk to the principal, I would talk to the teachers, and it's really a community thing. And that's a great question. Like, why is it only one of those?
Understand what I'm saying? Or how about Eagle Academy?
Eagle Academy, my son went there also.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
There's a few of those.
yeah, but it's,
Right.
it's only 5.
Right. Why?
Right.
Why we so those, if we take those templates of those schools right there and kind of put them around citywide, like, can we do that?
Yes, we can. But if think about this for a moment, that's what I want to share with you, because folks need to understand. Let's say you take Bedford Academy, and you say, you know what, they're successful. These kids are doing amazing. They're going on to schools. They're having these great, programs. So let's duplicate more. Now you have this other cat that's saying, wait a minute, man, we duplicate this. Who's going to make this money?
Who's going to jail? We need niggas to go to jail.
You understand what I'm saying?
We need niggas to go to jail.
It's all the same system, though. Yeah.
Right. You know, because you know what? If we have them in jail, we're going to be able to sell the food products we sell in the jail,
Make
the
license
cleaning
plates.
supplies.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to get this low labor.
Slave labor.
This is a hustle. And so when cats come along that I have been in the system and I know the hustle, now I'm coming in and I'm saying, we're changing this hustle. So my danger, brother, people need to understand the relevancy of my danger. I'm fucking with how people make their paper.
Right.
That's a fact.
Kind of doing the impossible if you really think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I was talking about being mayor. I better be carrying my gun.
Yeah, right. Because and that's what I'm saying. Like people will hate you.
What?
Right.
And then now compare the hate of people who are messing with their paper with the hate of the community that says, you know what? I don't even want you to save me.
Yeah, like the morale has been down for so long, and like, why would you even think this is possible? But I think it's like, again, you could see it, you could be it. So once you start and your momentum is there, I'm sure people are going to believe in it.
So you getting the hate from the people you messing with their paper.
Right.
You getting the hate from who the folks like Maya is trying to gas them up, put a battery in their back. Yeah. Eric is going to do this. Eric going to do this. So you got this hate coming from all sides. The only way you defeat that hate, you got to walk in the spirit.
That's right. And win.
Right.
You know,
and win.
All that
win big.
All that they threw at me.
That's right.
All that they did. You know what? They walk around, all they see is this big smile because they don't know. What y'all gonna do to me?
That's right. Nah, that's real. You know,
and it's also the follow through. People are so like that. Politics gives them a bad taste in their mouth. They're just like, they don't really care about us. Like,
right.
You know, so I mean, it's dope to see somebody that again was on the ground through Corona, through all this stuff. But even before that, you know, like people really know you. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even know who the other candidates were for a while.
Not at all. Like who?
They didn't even know who they were.
Yeah, I knew who. I met Andrew Yang before at Hot 97. We met him together.
Right. And think about that.
Yeah.
Now think about that for a moment. That's what's so powerful, and that's why he must have a dartboard with me in his house. You know,
right.
You know, because and I used to say to him, like, "What are you doing here?"
He wanted to give out what was it, $1,000? But
it was a hustle.
It was a hustle because you kind of broke that down where you talked about like that wasn't going to reach everybody.
Not only that, brother. Listen, if you are on public assistance, that's a federal allocation. If I give you $1,000, the federal government is saying, wait, you got $1,000 now a month? I'm taking that money back when I'm giving you. And so he knew he couldn't give people the money if they were the low income earners, because then the government would take back the subsidies that they're giving. So you're going to lose money by that $1,000 that you're getting. And so once he got played, then he started saying, well, we're going to do something called democracy bucks. You can't do that. What are you going to do next? Monopoly money? Come on, man. Stop playing us.
Wait, so would you say it works the same way with the whole unemployment thing and the increase in that through last year?
You can't.
They're going to take my money back? Like,
unless the federal government, if you're on subsidies, SNAP and other federal programs, if you get additional money, you're no longer qualified for that. And if the federal government states we're going to give everyone $1,000 a month, then it's suitable. But cities can't do that, because then the city is going to say, federal government is going to say, you are no longer qualified for the money we're going to give you. And he knew that, but he was playing people on their emotion. Right. And people started picking up on it. And that's why he went from being 24 points above to being called, I'm no longer running.
Wow.
Empty promises.
Let me ask you. NYCHA.
Yes.
Right? Conditions in NYCHA.
Yes.
We from the P's. We from the project. Project lobbies. Pissy elevators.
Right.
Staircases is just, the conditions in NYCHA. What is the plan to help that?
And people often look at the buildings of NYCHA, but they need to look at the people of NYCHA. The conditions of the buildings, those conditions match the conditions of the people. NYCHA has some of the lowest proficiency rates in education, some of the highest number of mental health illness, high numbers of people who are experiencing dyslexia, learning disabilities, highest incarceration,
that's right,
highest drug use. And so everyone believes, okay, let's fix the buildings. No, you have to also give the people what they need. We have to give the families what they need in the process. So my plan is a full-out plan on NYCHA, because even when I was growing up in South Jamaica, Queens, we had that old dilapidated house we were living in with no insulation, windows were broke, but we had so much pride in ourselves. So your physical structure cannot tear you down if your mental structure is strong. And so if we build the people of NYCHA and have them believe in themselves again, they're going to become the lobbyists they need to change the conditions that they're in. And we need to get an immediate infusion of cash, and we could do that in NYCHA by selling the air rights, not the buildings. The buildings should stay public, but the air above NYCHA is called air rights.
You can sell that. So
you can
what
sell
does that
that
mean? You can't fly planes over there?
No.
That's what that means?
No. What it means is,
I was about to get a plane and fly right over that motherfucker. I'm telling you.
At least a chopper.
The concept of air rights is that, so like this building can build higher.
Oh, okay, air rights. Understood.
Right, it can build higher.
Right.
And instead of you saying, okay, I'm not going to build higher, but how much I could build, I want to sell that to someone else that wants to build higher next door to me. And that's what's called air rights. So you could get about $4 to $8 billion of just selling the air rights.
So who owns the air rights?
Right now.
Just randomly, like the city?
The city.
Selling air.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like something we just made up.
I'm going to own 70 feet into the sky.
Right.
I'm going to own this.
So let's say you have an apartment building and you build 8 floors. But in actuality, you could build 16 floors. But the guy next to you, his area is zoned only to build 6 floors. I can say to him, I'm not going to build higher. I'm going to sell you my right to build higher so you can build higher on your property. And there's a profit attached to that.
So you're saying, we're going to pull in some money by selling air rights?
For overnight. We're not using them anyway. They just sitting there.
So they're not going to build upon them. They're not going to make the project buildings taller.
No.
You're just going to own them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then we could infill build in NYCHA, but this is how you infill. Right now, you build, let's say, on a parking lot of NYCHA. They're saying you allow new people to come in that. I say no to that. Build the new buildings, allow the pre-existing tenants to move into the new buildings and right-size their apartments. Because some people are living in 3-bedroom apartments and they don't want to downsize because if you spend 40 years in 40, now they want to move you to the South Bronx. You say, listen, I'm not trying to leave my community. No. Let them right-size their apartment from that 3-bedroom because the children move down to the 1-bedroom you need, and you can stay right in the facility and the new units that you have. Then you completely renovate the old ones and allow new families to come in. And so there are ways to get the money into NYCHA.
So we need that money.
Exactly.
So basically it's a money thing to help that.
Exactly. Because everybody's saying, let's wait for the federal government. Listen, man, that's old. That's an old rap, man. The bugles you hear, that's not the cavalry. That's taps. NYCHA is dying. We need to put money in NYCHA right now, and you do it by using the assets you have. And then we should start thinking about ownership for NYCHA. You know, we should cycle people into permanent ownership, co-op, condominium,
Co-ops, right.
you know, so that people can own their property, build up equity, and able to use that equity in a way to do a down payment on home. Because we have to cycle people into ownership. And this is how you stop gentrification. If you could own your place, then you're not going to be forced out by unscrupulous landlords.
You against gentrification?
When you say against it, to me, gentrification is a mindset. You know, if you are of any ethnicity, black, white, no matter what, and you come into a community and you become part of that community, then you know what? That's cool. I don't care what ethnicity you are.
Right.
But if you come into the community and then all of a sudden you're going to have your dog crap on my damn yard and don't pick it up, or you're going to call the cops on me because I tell you to put a leash on your dog, or you're going to call someone and say they playing music on Sunday from this building. It's a church, Negro. And people been there for a long time. You know? So if you want to come in and displace the culture, I'm tired of people playing dominoes. They've been playing dominoes for 40 years on this corner. That's what gentrification is to me. When you want to come in and just change the culture of a community and have your own classroom with your children, or have your own restaurants and stores, and don't want to assimilate.
And don't want to be a part of the culture of that neighborhood.
Exactly.
Gentrification is just so like beautiful on the outside, ugly on the inside. Like the way that they go about making these places look better and raise the property value is really bad. Like I just recently learned about fracking when I was doing a cleaning in the city, and like how I think during Corona they even made one that went right into Brown, like a pipeline that made it run
they stopped
right into
it,
Brown.
They were going to
yeah. Like things like that is crazy because people don't even understand like even the environmental racism is a thing. Like you know what I mean? Like there's already things that are against you that you have no idea about.
You're right. Well said. But they were successful in stopping that pipeline that you were talking about.
Okay.
But it
happens a lot.
What are you going to do about those Karens?
I'm sorry, the what?
Karens.
Which Karens?
Karens.
Oh, man, what are you going to do about that? Those are the same ones, you know. And I'm glad folks really mobilized around, you know, that whole attitude.
This entitlement, I'm supposed to be here, you not.
You know what I'm saying, brother?
You understand?
Just arrogant about it.
Just arrogant and, you know, my rights are this, my rights are that. Oh, you know what? I was attacked. And then, you know, pump faking and calling the cops on us.
Right. But, that, you know, I got to hand it to this bill. I don't know if that bill passed yet in Albany of if you illegally call false 911. That's why we push for the Karen in Central Park. We told the cops, you got to arrest her.
That's right.
Because the videos clearly showed that the brother didn't do anything. That's
right.
a false police report, you know. So once you start making these arrests, people are going to respond accordingly, you know.
Wow.
A lot going on, brother.
I know it's a lot going on. And I just got a couple more questions. I know. I grew up in a hood, right? And I went to school in the school system that we speaking of. I never learned nothing about me.
Right.
I never learned nothing about us. Whoa. Recently, this last year or so, I found out about things that I've never learned about. And I probably ran into these stories in passing while being incarcerated. You taking in a lot of information. One of these things was the Tulsa thing and the whole Juneteenth thing. Recently, they making Juneteenth a national holiday, right? But then there's people saying that a holiday with no reparations is like what? What is that? Nothing.
Right.
Fake.
I'm hearing about people talking about trying to actually. Some people, I think it was a couple of mayors banding together to kind of talk about that.
Right.
Where you at with that?
I love that because you know what's deep about Tulsa, and a lot of people who probably listening are not aware of that, but they need to Google it. It was an extremely affluent.
That's right.
Town.
That's right.
That
Black Wall Street.
Right, and whites went in and burnt it down. You know who were also part of that town? Indians.
Wow.
And you know what happened? They gave reparation to the Indians.
Wow.
How? But never.
That's really deep. I just learned this. I just learned this the other day. I just learned this the other day. They passed
to the Indian business owners
that were impacted,
right?
And they excluded the black business owners that were impacted. And so that's the type of movement I'm going to do, where we're going to coalesce with black and brown mayors across the country, because you can't say, okay, let's forget about what happened. No, you got to make cats whole.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? You got to. We have to get out of the mindset of, okay, we made a mistake. Oops, let's just move on. No, you have to make,
because those people, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but those people, like when you look at their story, and it's heartbreaking. I was in Detroit the other day watching a documentary on it, and you look at those people, those businesses, and those homes that was burnt down and they was pillaged and everything. Most of them did not or was not able to rebuild from that. Right. So now we cut off from that generational wealth. This country built on generational wealth that of things that they stole.
Right.
You understand? From the beginning. Said. So now we cut off from that. Then you're gonna say, oops, we made a mistake.
Right.
No, we need our motherfucking reparations.
Right. And that's the same with the whole cannabis movement.
That's right.
The money that we make, the mayor of the city is going to make the determination of how we roll out the cannabis movement here. The state passed it, but the local municipalities, they're going to do how it's going to be handled. We need to make sure that we make cats whole who were arrested.
We got hurt behind that.
Right.
What's the game plan?
When I say make people whole, we have to do it in many ways. We have to fix their credit reports. We have to do job training, and have a pot of money that's saying, okay, you were arrested for cannabis back then. We're gonna now you're eligible to do this plumbing, carpentry, technology, job training, so you can get your life back on track. We need to fix your credit report because your life got thrown off because of that arrest. So we need to make people whole and put them back on a pathway to be part of middle class society in the city.
How realistic is making that happen?
Very much. There's going to be a lot of paper made off of cannabis. Trust me.
This is what I'm saying. So now that if you went to prison and you did a bid off of illegal sales of cannabis, now part of making them whole again, are you eligible for a license in some type of way?
Exactly. They should be like Jersey did it right with the whole legacy movement. We need to say you're now going to get first dibs on the licenses. Those and others who have the licenses, we should have a pot of money that part of the tax on the cannabis should go into this pot of money so that we could do other things, get, like I said, job training, mental health services that you need. Because, when cats went through some stuff, man.
That's right. Definitely. Doing time, you can sentence these 10, 15 years behind pounds of weed, and then what? You
now it's
away
illegal
from your family,
right,
and now it's legal.
Right.
Okay,
That was that Rockefeller, even the Rockefeller drug laws. When I was a sergeant in the police department, I used to protest at Rockefeller Plaza to repeal the Rockefeller drug laws. And then finally, when I became a state senator, I co-sponsored the bill that repealed the Rockefeller drug laws. They were locking brothers up for a long period of times. The bill I co-sponsored, we repealed the Rockefeller drug laws. Right. And so that's why when I get in this conversation, and people just don't know, man. I've been doing this for a bit, man. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, man.
From all angles, you got it from all angles.
No, I get it. So that's the thing, though, man. I want to see that happen, though, man.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Get an opportunity to get their life back.
And reparation is important. We need to, that needs to be part of our conversation. Of America never paid back the wealth it made off of slavery. And we need to be unapologetic about demanding it.
That's a fact. That is absolute fact. Like,
at least teach us the right thing in school, like you said. Like, give us the real information.
Right, but they never gonna do that.
Right.
Because that'll just empower us and make us angry, and it just, I mean, come on, like, smart is gangster.
Right. It's like if you knew better, you do better.
Like, and being unintelligent is come on, that's where they want to keep us. The fact that we finding out these things because they try to keep it away from us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want you angry. They want you dumb, angry, all of that.
But we here's the key. I believe the key is this. Is this having real cats that are credible messengers, engage in real conversations. You know, because folks are hurting, they don't want to hear from everyone, but cats that they respect, to give them these little jewels and have them, listen, go Google this, go read this. Like, there's a documentary coming out that I am in called "They're Trying to Kill Us." It's a powerful documentary about food in our community. And, you know, like, people know my story. I was diagnosed with, you know, type 2 diabetes, lost my sight. Doctor said, Eric, you're going to be blind in a year. You know, I had permanent nerve damage in my hands and feet that's going to lead to amputation.
Right.
You know, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And not until I went to a plant-based diet that I was able to reverse my vision loss, my nerve damage, my diabetes, and all of that. And there's a documentary coming out.
It speaks on that.
It speaks on They're Trying to Kill Us. Young brothers, young rappers, and, you know, young brothers and sisters who are talking about, listen, man, we talking about drugs in our community. The real
food
is killing us.
The problem is in the food, and the solution is in the food.
Right.
What do we do about that? Because the cancer, the hypertension,
all
of these things, the diabetes, how do we, these oversized meals, the cholesterol,
That's right.
everything.
And in bad neighbors, all you have is the deli, and that's it.
you
Like,
know what I'm saying?
fried chicken spot. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What do we do about that? What's the plan for that?
I love that. In my initiative, I'm doing some stuff in schools in Brooklyn that's mind-boggling. We're into hydroponic, vertical farming. Children are going to have rooftop gardens on their school buildings. They're going to grow their food, serve it in the cafeteria, and then you can make paper. You can make so much money from urban farming. That's the new thing, urban farming.
It really is. I'm so into that.
You could take it, you identify your food desert, food apartheid, you go in and you can actually provide food like we're doing at Democracy Academy, where young people are growing food, taking it to the local night shift facilities. So we're going to change the urban farming in the city.
Right.
And, you know, it's not what you do every once in a while, it's what you do every day. You know, our elders are prematurely dying because of our diet.
Right.
You know, I just finished my book about a year and a half ago, Healthy at Last, to talk about my journey.
Right.
You know, and even talk about the journey of my mom, who was diabetic for 15 years, 7 years on insulin. She went plant-based. Within 2 months, she was off all of her medication.
Indeed.
You know
Imagine they told her that, though.
Right.
Instead of putting her on all these meds.
Right.
We also need like a food curriculum.
Right. That's what we want to do.
Food education.
That's what we want to do.
We got physical ed and food education because a lot of the things we were taught growing up, like milk does your body good. No, it don't. It doesn't. Right. Cheese and all these things that we were taught early on.
Right. Now, but check this out. This is what's so deep, man, about downstream. Imagine this for a moment. You're living in a poverty environment. Mm-hmm. You don't have the luxury of deciding what you're going to eat. So you have to go to the government to get fed in your food pantry or anywhere else.
Free cheese.
And what are they giving you?
Big block of cheese.
And that cheese is causing your chronic condition. You know, that canned meat. It's causing your colon cancer. It's causing your high blood pressure. It's causing your diabetes. So the government, that because you are poor, you have to go to the government to get fed, and they're feeding you food that's feeding your chronic diseases. I spent the night in a homeless shelter with a bunch of brothers who were homeless, and I just wanted to sit down and just show them some love. Right. And these brothers was like saying, listen, man, I can't eat this food they're serving us. It's feeding my heart disease. So people who are in need are being fed food that causes their chronic diseases. That's why 90% of the people that died from coronavirus had pre-existing conditions.
Right.
And we were Catherine Garcia, who's running for mayor, she was feeding our communities chicken McNuggets and feeding other communities healthy food, brother.
Popeye's chicken sandwiches, we was all talking about it last year. Now
we need that information. You see how we speaking on these things. I watched the documentary, What the Health.
Right. Powerful documentary.
That was a documentary, and it changed like the way I looked at food from that point on. Me personally, I'm not as willfully strong in certain areas. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of stuff that I stopped and cut down. I'm still, I'm still a work in progress with that. But I feel like
and you don't have to be perfect. Perfection is never the goal.
Right.
Long as you know, then you do better. Especially for brothers. You want to stop brothers from eating bad? Look at Gregor talks about how your food impacts your sexual organ. A lot of brothers don't realize. They think they clogging. This is going to be a rated X conversation. So. A lot of brothers feel as though you get to a certain age, you all of a sudden you don't have the same energy. You can't have that same erection and what have you. What happens is that people think that bad food clogs your artery of your heart. No, bad food clogs for a man. It clogs the smallest artery on his body, which is in his sexual organ. Erectile dysfunction means early signs of clogged arteries. Then your heart later. You eat right, you clean up your whole arteries in your heart and your sexual organ. You back being a 21-year-old and your wife won't leave you.
Don't tell Maino that.
You hear that, Garv?
Don't tell Maino that.
Better leave that roast beef alone.
I can't.
All right? Cut it out.
So, like,
Cut it out.
basically what you're saying is
clog
vegans
that
do it better.
You gotta unclog that penile area. You understand?
I can't.
Flush some Drano down there. Wow.
Wait, you should also talk to Maino about meditation. Let's get into that.
No, but more. First of all, I'm telling you, so when I went through my health crisis, sometimes you think you are weighted with something and you're blessed. You're blessed. And we're living just a lie. We have to move out of the place of I'm doing things because this is what we've always done. This is the moment of awakening. We need to be questioning everything we're doing. Why am I doing this? Like, what is it rooted in fact? And so something simple as, like every morning I meditate, but something simple as breathing. I challenge everyone that's listening to this show, go and look at the power of breathing. We breathe wrong. No one has even taught us how to breathe.
How are we supposed to breathe?
You when you breathe, you're putting in energy into your cells in your body. Everyone should start their day of doing breathing exercise. You can actually breathe to calm your body. Like when I was doing the debates during the campaign, I'll be on stage and all of these fools will be walking around talking and what have you. I'm sitting there meditating and breathing. I'm bringing myself down to a level. You can actually change your entire body makeup. And so when you're going through a stressful situation, there's a way to breathe that you calm yourself.
How?
You should take 4 heavy breaths from your stomach. You shouldn't even be breathing from your chest. Like when people say take a breath, we normally do this naturally. We go, and that's wrong. You breathe from your diaphragm, and so you want to take 4 heavy breaths one at a time. You go, take as much air down here, and then breathe out in 8 seconds.
Slowly.
Right. You do that 10 times. That relaxes your whole inner core. And
You're
then
supposed to breathe
through your mouth or nose, it doesn't matter. You could but there are breathing exercises that are unbelievable. And what's interesting is that the power of breath work that they talk about has been around for thousands of years. So we should be teaching children in school how to breathe.
This is what I'm saying. We need to be our kids need to be taught about physical education, food, this breathing stuff, as well as being technically, advanced. Like
without a doubt.
You know what I'm saying? We need to be
we do
on our way over to Silicon Valley also.
We spend time on making our children academically smart and not emotionally intelligent. That's what we need to be doing. And we're not going to be able to compete. I've been back and forth to China 6 times. What they're doing with their children, if we don't get our acts together, brother, we're not going to compete globally.
They got discipline.
This is a different game, man, and no one cares. Listen, you go to these cats and you say, "Well, you know what? We were enslaved." They say, "So what?" When I met with the Prime Minister of Education over there, they said, "Eric, let me tell you what we tell our children. I don't care if you're a black cat or a white cat. You still got to catch the mouse. You don't catch the mouse, you starve." No one cares. Well, the mouse ran fast. His uncle was here. Only thing they ask,
did you get it?
Negro, where's the mouse? Shit.
Go get it.
That's the globe. The globe right now, the globe can care less about what you went through.
Everything else seems like a distraction.
That's all it is. Nobody cares. All they want to know, do you have the mouse? Period.
Right. Don't tell me why you don't.
Right.
I feel that. My dad always said, like, don't feel bad for yourself no matter what the situation is. That's 10 steps back, just feeling bad for yourself.
There you go. There you Listen, you know what, running for mayor, I had to raise $11 million.
You did it, didn't you?
Right. 35,000 phone calls asking cats for money.
Is that how it goes? Like, hey, what's up, man? I'm running for man.
Can you make a donation?
But you're going to money niggas though. You're not going to.
No, I'm going to everybody.
You're going to everybody.
I'm hitting the pockets of everybody.
Yeah, like how did you raise the 11 million? Like how does it work?
Seriously speaking, 35,000. Hey, what's up?
Door to door.
And Obama talks about this when he ran for president, and I thought about it when he ran. And as I sat down, we do something when you're running for office. You do something called call time, where you sit down 2 to 3 hours a day and you just hit the phones. And I have a sign up that I sort of motivate myself. Listen, don't surrender. Fight. You got to earn it. And so you call people up, cold call. You don't even know the cat.
You don't even know these people.
Don't even know them.
So you calling businesses, you calling
people. You got a list of people. You
wow.
get a phone book. You just calling everyday people. Hey, listen, how you doing? My name is Eric Adams. I used to be a state senator. I want to run for mayor, and I want to give you my platform, and I would like to know if you want to donate to my campaign. Fuck you, Negro.
You got a lot of that, I'm sure.
What? I used to, for the first 6 months, I thought my name was Fuck You, Negro.
But you managed to raise up that money. Because you raised more than anybody else.
Anybody else, brother. And I had multi-millionaires in the race. But the move was, that's why I say sometimes you think you are weighted with something when in fact you are being blessed. Because I was already named and bullied and called a loser and called dumb. I was already looked upon because of when I went to school. Because I overcame that, I said, listen, overcoming you being disrespectful to me means nothing. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Right. So we look at sometimes what we went through as a weight, but it's not. It's not a weight. It shows you what you made of.
Right.
You know what you could overcome now after you did that.
Everything. That's how I feel about my life.
Right.
I feel that way about me spending 10 years in prison, me going through what I've been through. I could do anything in the world.
And
I could fucking walk on water.
That's what I'm talking about.
I have that energy.
That's what I'm talking about.
That belief in myself that I've been so low and it helped to carve out who I was because I had to jump over those hurdles and I had to find out who I was. So now I'm at a place where it's like, no matter what I go through, I can deal with it.
Think about that. So now put me in that place. Mm-hmm. Okay, arrested at 15, beat down by police, shot at as a police officer, tried to get fired. They wanted to fire me. Going through all that madness, learning disabilities, all that madness. So I walk on the stage, the largest national audience, and I'm getting ready to debate with these cats. and I'm looking to the left of me, I'm looking to the right of me, and realize that if they have to live through my life, if you squeeze them, they'll pee. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm sitting on the stage, I'm looking to the left, and I'm looking to the right of me.
They're not built like me.
I'm saying, what? What are y'all even doing on this stage with me?
Indeed.
So I went on. That was my head. So when I'm sitting there, people are saying, why do you look unfazed? I'm like, listen, I know if they would not be here if they had to go through what I went through. Wow. That's a different mindset.
It is.
And so when I was making those calls, I said, yeah, you know what? You giving me a lot of bass because you on the phone. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Not in person. You won't have that same energy. I doubt it. You social media gangster. I bet phone gangster, cell gangster. I know you dudes. You know, you tough in your cell.
And so that's what I want, brothers. Those brothers who are living in apartment 4D in NYCHA.
Right.
I want them to look at their conditions and say, wait a minute, I'm still here. If I can survive this at 18,
that's right.
Then you mean to tell me I can't survive being a salesman?
That's right.
I can't survive, picking up a book? Once people see that their condition is evidence of their ability to survive, and they take that dark moment and see it's not a burial, but it's a planting, we're going to see a different soldier on these streets. I'm telling you.
You know, talking to you, and I'm hearing a lot of things. You being a new mayor, you get 4 years off top.
Right.
What's the likelihood of implementing all these things that we talking about? All these ideals, all these plans. What is the likeliness? Because
I love that. I love that question.
These politicians, they come and they tell us what they're gonna do. They never do it.
Right.
They kiss, kissing babies. They shaking hands. They smiling, taking pictures and stuff like that. Are we gonna be able to get this stuff done?
I like that. And no, we're not going to do this in 4 years. What we're going to do is put the foundation. My goal, my job in 4 years is to get our asses upstream. Once we get upstream, once we change the mindset of pulling people out of the river and change the mindset to say we're upstream, then we can start the generational change. Because we're not going to do this in my 4 years. 4 years, I'm going to get us upstream.
Right.
I'm going to change how we run this city. And then if I get another 4 years, I'm going to be able to do even more. But the next mayor that comes after me, they're going to have to change their mindset. We're no longer going to be running on downstream mindset. All these cats that are running for office, they're telling you their programs are pulling people out of the river. I'm the only person that's running that's telling you my idea of being upstream and preventing people from falling in. We're no longer going to have downstream mayors anymore. Once I get us upstream, everyone is going to be judged by that mindset. That's where we're going.
And it can't be just, with these guys, just the answer can't just be lock niggas up.
No, it's not.
Cannot be that.
And even when people are inside, someone has a body, you're going in, man. You did a body,
Yeah, because listen, it's simple though. Look, crime is crime, and the thing is like,
can't help you.
No, it's simple because listen, it's simple, and I tell people all the time, the job of a criminal is to do crime.
Right.
It's my job.
Right.
If you're a cop, your job is to catch me, put me in jail. That's it. That's the nature. That's our engagement, and it is what it is. But it can't. That can't be the answer for our problems.
No, it can't. And the question is, so we have two phases. First of all, what do we do when you're in? We took away the opportunities while we were in. The correction officers unions fought and got all those programs, all those educations out. I say, okay, listen, you did an attempted manslaughter. You get an 8 to 12. Okay, you know what? Let's make a deal. You get your bachelor's degree, you out in 4.
Incentive.
Right.
Incentive.
Right.
That's never been done.
You get your plumbing's license. you get out in 4. You get your electrician's license, you get your carpenter's license, because now you're getting out and you're no longer going to be a blight on society, you're going to contribute to society.
Right.
So I want to incentivize you to not do time, but to do something with your time.
They'll fight you on that, though. They don't want that.
Yeah, but
they do not want that.
But we at a place now on the state and on the city where we can get it done. There's a window of opportunity to get it done.
That's on the state level.
On the state level, right. We could partner to say, now let's incentivize people of not just leaving, but you know what?
Even with something.
Right. We cut your time in half.
Arming them.
Exactly.
With something that they can get back out in the street.
Now they become part of, because it costs more money for you to sit inside a cell than for me to have you finish what you're doing and get out and get a real job, and now you're part of society. Instead of us paying you to be incarcerated.
But they're making money off us being incarcerated.
Oh, without a doubt. They making, the state is not making money.
Oh, okay.
Concraft is making, Corecraft, they're making the money.
Who owns Corecraft? That's a private?
Yes. And they sell the furniture and what have you.
Because I was just telling somebody, I was in Auburn Correctional Facility years ago. That's the first state prison in New York State. In New York, in that prison, they make New York State license plates.
Chairs.
The chairs, the upholstery that goes into the office, to state buildings and all that is made there.
Right.
Is that a state-owned company?
It's private, and they sell back to the state.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real hustle, man.
It's in cahoots, though. Like.
Yeah. It's a real hustle. People are making paper off of us, man. They're making paper off of us. And you have to know the system, how to break down the system. Let me tell you something. If any of these other cats became mayor, man, they'd run rings around them. They wouldn't even have a clue. You know, I went through the system. I know the system. I know how to change the system. That is the difference between we had, Esther 4:14. I know a lot of you Negroes don't read the Bible, but
she do though. She throwing that Bible around every week.
Esther 4:14 says, "God made me for such a time like this. I'm made for this moment to be the mayor."
I believe that too.
I'm made. This is the time for me to be the mayor, because there's an awakening that's taking place in our country, in our city. And I need to take that energy of BLM and say, listen, folks, that energy can't be just about police. Mm-hmm. If Black lives really matter, we have to stop 65% of our children not being educated. If it really matters, we can't have 10-year-old kids being shot like Justin 2 days from his birthday. We can't have our grandmothers constantly being fed with medications just to lose their kidneys and to lose their sight. So if Black lives really matter, we have to be true to what BLM is. But right now, we're not true to it. And people, you have to be honest about the fact we're not true to it. If all of our energy is wrapped up with just being angry at Popo is going nowhere. Let's be clear on that.
So you're saying as far as Black Lives Matter is that the police issue is just one component. To a bigger problem.
One component. We can't.
That's a big problem, though.
No, it is, and we're not dismissive of that.
Right.
But if we're measuring problems based on the casualty rate, that's just one of the problems, brother.
That's a result.
Right, exactly. So we need to elevate ourselves to say Black lives matter. And if we elevate ourselves to that, then we're not going to allow anything to destroy Black lives. Not just Popo. I don't care if the person is wearing a blue police uniform or blue gangbanger jeans. You're not going to hurt Black lives.
Indeed. I understand that.
Yeah.
I get it.
You're giving us quality of life.
I get it.
That's not the bare minimum that we're used to.
I get it. Mm-hmm. I know one thing. You're the only mayor I ever known personally.
So that's something. How did you guys meet?
I think Denise introduced it, but I connected to Maino right around because real recognizes real. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And having you come into City Hall.
That's right.
Because part of empowerment It's just taking a bunch of brothers, from 40 and just coming to City Hall or Gracie Mansion and hold a conversation. That's part of empowerment, because part of empowerment is access. If we like it or not, if we're really honest with ourselves, black folks are still scared of white folks, brother.
Why do you think that is?
Because we generational. It's in our DNA.
Embedded.
It's embedded,
It's
man.
embedded fear.
Right.
Like we don't know how to not be.
Right. And until we have to empower ourselves to get over that fear. And
we intimidated.
Right.
When we go in a room and the room is full of white people with suits or white people with uniforms.
That's right, brother. That's right.
There's an embedded fear. Not all of us though.
No.
I grew up like that.
Right.
I had to get comfortable, and I think that's some things that we don't really talk about because we come from the hood. It's like, man, I ain't scared of nobody, nobody.
Right.
And I get it, until you walk in the room.
That's right, brother.
And like a parole board, and it's just so fucking scary.
Right.
And they all judging you.
The courtroom, the judge is up there,
or police precinct. That's why the desk is high.
Right.
That's why the desk sits up.
Yeah, it's intimidating. I had to find the comfortability and get to a place where I was secure with myself, and and then and get to a place where I could just get in these meetings and be like,
right. But you got to really, you got to really, right?
You got to get there.
Let me tell you what happened. I had a friend of mine, Italian guy, back. I must have been 19. I worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield as a clerk, and we befriended each other, and he had a fire in his house, and he came to South Jamaica, Queens. He lived in Pelham Parkway, but he came to South Jamaica, Queens, because my mom let him come and move with us until his family got their stuff together. So once he was able to move back with his family, he says, Eric, I really appreciate what you did. You want to come to the Gardens to watch the game? I said, yeah, man, Walt Frazier, Dave DeBush. And so when we get to the Garden, there was no basketball game. It was hockey. I was like, David, what the fuck you doing, man? Black folks don't like no damn hockey. And so, in reality, that was the first time I was around all those white folks, man. I was scared as hell.
Right.
I was intimidated.
Right.
Game started. Nobody cared I was there. They were giving me high five, sharing beer. And it dawned on me, there was no sign that says no blacks allowed in the Garden to watch hockey. That sign was in my head.
Right.
We have instilled things in the heads of each other. We're not supposed to watch golf. We're not supposed to play golf. We're not supposed to do this. We're not supposed to do that. It's handed down generation after generation. Or what are you, a Tom, because you want to do this, you want to do that? No, man. Nothing is off limit to me.
Yes, right. I think that's starting to change
and
more because I know some homies that go to the golf.
Right.
Golf carts, when they really go play. I know a couple dudes that really go do that. I think it started to change.
Imagine Maino playing tennis.
I told him I was going to pull up and play golf one day.
Right. But see, it has to, exposure is the key. If you were to go to Tilden Project.
Right.
Take those brothers and sisters.
And expose them to something different.
Right. Tell them the standard, the code of behavior. Show them the game. They will excel.
That's right, because that's where the problem. That's where the disconnect is at.
It is
in our communities. It's like a jail in itself.
It is, brother.
It's a prison in itself. We around this 10-block radius.
That's right.
And
that's right.
This is where we exist in. This is where we live. This is where we share.
That's
we
right,
lose.
brother.
We die here.
Tragic, man.
Right?
Tragic.
And we not open up. We don't have our options and our opportunities.
Right.
You understand? By the time we 15, man, you got kids 30. You got dudes 30 years old. They've never been there.
Never left. Now think about this for a moment. You have places in this city where you can't even cross the street because there's so much beef between two different developments that if you come over in that other development, you getting shot, and you come over, you got to go to school and back to your development. That's what I'm saying. We are imprisoned inside our communities. And so what I have to do as mayor, I have to break folks free from that. I have to say, no, man, you are going to Wall Street. You're going to walk on the trading room floor. You're going to fight your natural fear.
Right.
You're going to sit inside this boardroom. You're going to see what it's like to be in a corporate setting. You know, we need to be intentional to get folks off the block.
Right.
That's what we
and
have
give
to
them
do.
Give them other options.
Yes, brother. We need to do.
That's all we ever needed was other options.
That's all we did. You know, we need to do using technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jeff Bezos is getting ready to go up in space.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why can't Jeff Bezos from space use a Zoom and talk right inside a classroom in Brownsville or the South Bronx?
He could do that, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm saying. But we need to expose. They do that for other kids.
Mm-hmm.
We need to expose our children to the possibilities, and that's not what we did. When I was a kid, my mom, when Percy Sutton ran for mayor, Percy Sutton was the first African American to run for mayor. My mom took me to the polling place, and she took my hand and she touched Percy's name, because she said, "You need to know the possibilities." And when I voted the other day, I took my son. I said, "You need to touch my name, because you need to know the possibilities."
Yeah, that's real.
That's what we need to show our children, the possibilities.
We need to know that the world is greater than just the hood.
That's right.
These communities that we come from, we need to know that it's bigger and that we can do whatever we want to do.
Whatever, brother. And know what? The sky is no longer the limit. Jeff Bezos is going to outer space.
As my man Swiss would say, sky is not the limit, it's the view.
That's right.
For real.
That's right.
Did you know that you wanted to be mayor a long time ago?
No.
Is this something that you...
It came... I had an 11-year-old young man that was arrested for... it was like his third arrest for armed robbery. They called him with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing a midnight tour, and I saw him inside. I said, "What's this young brother doing here?" They said, "This is, they told me his name. This is his third arrest for robbery." And so I was doing the midnights, and so I was, bringing him something to eat, talking to him. And as I sat down and spoke with him, I learned that his dad was in jail, his mother was on crack.
That's right.
He was raising himself.
That's right.
And right then I understood. I said, you know what? He didn't commit the crime. We committed the crime.
That's right.
Why didn't we catch him? Why didn't we realize
ahead?
Right.
Prevention is better than cure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it just inspired me in Bill Lynch. Once I saw the ability of using technology, because I was a computer programmer, police officer special assignment. And once I saw the abilities of using technology, I said, you know what, we can run this city better. We can run, and it just...
And then back then you felt like you wanted to...
24 years, brother. I've been running for mayor for 24 years.
Wow, come on, let me listen.
Relentless.
24 years.
So,
every night before going to bed, I write in my journal on what I'm going to do as mayor. I have 26 journals.
Wow.
Analyzing the city. That's before I go to sleep. I give thanks to the ancestors, make my entry in my journal, meditate, and go to sleep. Nonstop.
In those 24 years, what are some of the mantras that you lived by when it was, the ups and downs that you were going through?
And there's been a lot. It's been a lot. There's been some scary moments.
What do you tell yourself?
That I'm not picking cotton.
That's right.
Our ancestors picked cotton from sun up to sundown.
This ain't that bad.
That's right. Mm-hmm. No matter what I'm going through, you know what? I'm not delivering a baby in the field and just to go back to work. I'm not having someone kick in my cabin door and rape my wife, my daughter, and my son sometime. What they went through tells us we can go through a hell of a lot. We're not going through a damn thing.
Yeah.
Man, bro. Wow. Let's get these things done, though.
We are.
And I want to say that I told you this before. Whatever I could do to help, as far as like, I'm just getting into a space where I want to be inspiration for the young males.
Right.
I want them to look at me and see motivation, and as much as I can reach them, I want to help as much as I can. I'm not perfect. I'm not out here trying to pump perfection and all that, but if I got some game to give, or I can assist in some type of way, that's gonna matter for these kids that bend the corner and get away from some of the roads that led me on the wrong road. That I'm with it.
And you are, brother. You doing we are going in 4 years. we're going to create some soldiers, man.
Right.
We're going to show young people, some of these young, courageous, if we redirect that energy and that anger, we're going to produce some Malcolms. Because remember, Malcolm,
of course,
reform inside.
Right.
We're going to produce, some of our greatest soldiers were inside.
That's right.
And if we just take that courageous, that strength,
that's right,
that encouragement, we're going to turn this game around.
Sometimes you got to go through hell to get to heaven, man. I appreciate you for coming, man. You the only man I know personally. I'm pulling up the Gracie Mansion.
Okay.
For real. We got some vegan food? It's vegan food.
Yes, it's vegan.
Man, thank you for coming, bro.
Look
got some quinoa.
Yeah.
We got caterer.
Yeah, we got the chef and everything. You know what I mean? Like, kitchen
Shout
talk, chase your dreams.
Thank you
already
so much.
know, man. I appreciate you for coming and having real talk with us and talking about a lot of initiatives and a lot of stuff that you want to implement in the game, man. And congratulate you on your win.
Yes, sir.
Second black mayor, New York City in history, the big office there.
Before we go though, can I just ask you one more question?
Yes.
So being that you're so health conscious and you're so into like the veganism and the herbalism and all of that, how do you feel about the vaccine? Are you vaccinated?
I am, but everyone should make an independent decision. Because what you put in your body should be your decision, and I respect the concerns that people have because Tuskegee is real, and so many other things that have happened, and so I encourage people to do it, but I respect people need to get there on their own.
I'm just like, why are they marketing it so heavily? They entered us for the lottery if you take the vaccine. I'm like, I don't know about that one. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you
for being here.
Love. Kitchen Talk, baby.
At Kitchen Talk, the podcast.
Kitchen Talk, baby.
At Hala Mayoral.
I don't
even
know.
know. Eric Adams for NYC. Yeah.
Bless. Good job, guys.